I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. And
Hello, Matt.
Hello, Rachel. How are
you? I don't know why I'm saying it with all the in it, but how are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little stir crazy and punchy. Also, over the last 2.5 weeks, I've recorded 10 guest spots on a variety of different podcasts, including our guest podcast. So, I don't know how to stop. 4 podcasts of my own is not enough. I need to be on a bajillion others.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've been clocking some guest spots myself.
Excellent.
So what else are we gonna do? We're all trapped inside.
It's true, and we have to spread the gospel of Screen Snark and our Screen Beans. But before we get into what we always do here, I'm going to introduce our guest. Our guest is the co-host of the NES Pod, amiibo collector, dog enjoyer, and an all-around obsessive about Earthbound. Please welcome to the show, Nathan Brandt.
Yay! Thank you for that intro. Very, very, very thorough, and that's pretty much it. Like, why do we need to interview me at this point? That's,
exactly.
We got dogs, amiibo, and Earthbound. That's pretty much it.
Thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for not firing us. We'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. We're wrapped up. We're done.
Cue music.
And we're out.
I feel like it is important for the listener to know, though, the reason I say amiibo collector is because that's an understatement, because behind Nate is literally a wall, a display case wall of amiibos.
Holy socks.
Yep. Every single North American released amiibo. There are a couple very expensive Japanese only ones that I am not going to deal with. And of course, because I'm that guy, they're all in box as well. So.
Yeah. So he's not actually used them for the purpose amiibos are for, to unlock stuff in games and stuff.
Can you get the chip even if they're in the box?
Nope, there is a reflective thing underneath them so that you can't do it. So if I need to use an amiibo, I have to get another one because at this point I can't just be like, well, I'll open this one. It's got to be all or nothing. So.
Man, I don't ever look into my history because I once did a reference to Griffin McElroy's Griffin's Amiibo Corner. So I have one amiibo, and it is one that I have shoved it all the way in my mouth. So
I was there for that live performance.
That's how I treat my amiibo.
That's fine. You spent your money on it, and you can do whatever you want with it. For your dark desires, you can do whatever you please.
My nasty, nasty desires. I'll just put that online somewhere.
You should.
I think now's the time.
But this isn't a show about amiibos. This is a show about talking about the media we've most recently watched. And then we will chat a little bit about what Nate does besides being on our podcast. So, as usual, I will go first. And just another quick shout out to Scrubs. I'm continuing my rewatch along with the boys of Fake Doctors, Real Friends, which is Zach Braff and Donald Faison's rewatch podcast. It's like a dream come true for the Scrubs obsessive, but we're taking it slow. We're still in season 1. The show that I want to talk about today actually is one that I've been watching with my spouse on Amazon Prime. It's called Upload. It's starring Robbie Amell, and the premise is like a darker version of The Good Place, sort of. So it takes place in this future where if instead of dying, if you can afford it, you can have your consciousness uploaded to this virtual afterlife where it's, all of your memories, your personality, and then it's like customer service run by angels, which are literally customer service reps that can talk to you in this virtual world and even project themselves into this virtual world.
Weird. So it's like The Good Place meets Dollhouse.
And kind of like Black Mirror a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah.
A little Black Mirror, yeah.
Instead of the twist being it was all in a computer, the premise is it's all in a computer.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the show is it seems like it's going to just be a comedy. It seems pretty straightforward as a comedy, but the within the first episode, the lead character is killed because a self-driving car, which are everywhere, goes against his wishes and crashes and kills him, doesn't avoid a truck. And we don't know why.
Weird.
It just happens. And so his rich girlfriend, in a panic, when his vitals are questionable, volunteers to have him uploaded and to pay for it. And then the rest of the series is that conflict of her still being alive and him being dead. And you can talk to, by the way, the living can talk to uploads with VR sets and even full body suits for hugging grandkids or for sex, obviously. It's very weird. And like the series, within the first episode, it's obvious that there's something suspicious about his death, and also other relationships that are developing around this upload and his angel, who is you're not supposed to like get a personal relationship with your angels. They're supposed to be like customer service reps. You're not supposed to know their name. You're supposed to just kind of like interact and move on. And then it's just kind of the hilarity that ensues around it. And it's very much a dark comedy. A lot of the funny moments are punctuated by like crazy drama or ridiculous like realizations. And it's been really good. I think we're 2 episodes from the end of the season. I think it's a 10-episode season, and it's on Amazon Prime. And I'm really digging it. It's more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought it was just going to be like a stupid comedy about folks in a fake world and a digital afterlife, and it turned out to be a lot more than that. I'm assuming neither of you have seen it.
No, I've been seeing ads on like YouTube and stuff for it, and like, you know, full disclosure, it seemed like one of those shows where it's like, this is probably going to get like one season and it's done. But it's cool that like it is, because I don't know, Amazon Prime shows tend to be a little bit like a cut below like your Hulus and Netflixes, at least from what I've seen. But it's from a lot of stuff lately, it seemed like there's been at least a couple standout shows, which is great because everybody already has Amazon Prime. So you may as well pull up that app and watch some TV as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there have been a few shows I've liked, but I, for the most part, also have been watching mostly Netflix or Hulu. But this one got my attention because I think one of the creators worked on Parks and Rec as well. It's not Mike Shore, but it's like it's one of the other Parks and Rec creators is working on this, and so like that got my attention. Also, I like Robbie Amell. He is the cousin of Stephen Amell. You might know famously playing Arrow / Oliver Queen. Robbie played Firestar for a short time on the show as well before getting recast by someone way better. Oh no! But that said. I didn't know Robbie Amell much except from like his teen drama stuff that he had done, but he's actually pretty good and pretty dynamic in this show, and I'm enjoying his performance. The supporting cast is incredible as well. One of the funny conceits that you learn in the first episode is like all of the wait staff in this hotel retreat are played by the same actor. They all look like the same guy, but he's everything. And like he can multiply to carry people's bags. And like the chef looks like him, and the wait staff looks like him, and the bellhop looks like him, and front desk and it's the gardener looks like him. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I recommend it. We haven't finished it yet, so I don't know if the conceit and the suspicion side and the darker side is going to pay off. But so far, I've been enjoying it. And if you already have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you anything extra. So. I would say go check it out. It doesn't beat.
I'm gonna make a hypothesis about what happens at the end of this show.
Okay.
He's not dead. He's double uploaded and in a coma.
Yeah, likely.
That's my guess.
Likely not, but I appreciate it.
I haven't seen this, and the girlfriend did it. I don't know. These are my guesses.
There's like there's an anime and manga called Gantz where the people die and then they end up in this other place, and that's one of the tropes that happens in that show is that the person like momentarily died, and so their consciousness exists in the thing that they get sent to and in the real world. So it'd be interesting if they would do that in any kind of live action sense.
So yeah, so those are my thoughts on Upload. I think if you have any interest in like weird future stuff, because also like they make jokes like everything's owned by 3 companies at once, so it's like like AT&T Taco Bell or things like that, like mergers that are crazy. Gotcha. and they own everything and everything's sponsored. It's that kind of stuff is pretty funny.
So like real life.
So like real life. So like what Demolition Man projected. So that's Upload on Amazon Prime.
Very cool. Matt, if you had to sum up Upload in a paltry 3 words, and they cannot be Amazon Prime or Upload. I guess you do Prime. I don't know. It depends. How would you describe Upload?
I would call it dark future comedy.
Dark future comedy. Very cool. Very cool. I like it. I like that it's taking a premise from literally Dollhouse, because there's an episode of Dollhouse where a woman is killed, and she has Eliza Dushku's character Echo upload her consciousness, show up to her mansion, and solve her own murder. It's really cool. Dollhouse was such a cool show. I think it got a short run, but I think it deserved more because it was a weird show. And Dushku was doing a lot of really cool work because essentially, like, she was this empty vessel. Like, her consciousness was outloaded, and she would just be somebody new every single episode. Like, she was a super spy, or she was a rich woman who got murdered. Or I loved it. Anyway, this isn't about Dollhouse, but
No.
I'm just thinking about Dollhouse now and how much I loved it. I'm gonna go rewatch that show, actually.
You're alone on that one. That's one of the Wheatonverse I missed. But I
wonder if it holds up.
I don't know. It must be on Netflix.
I don't know.
I have to imagine it's on Netflix. Everything else he's done is on there.
Yeah. Also, the theme song for that is so good. It's so good. But I'm not here to talk about Dollhouse, and we're not here to talk about Dollhouse. I'd like to say I'm here to talk about Community, but I'm not, because I finished Community like right after we were done recording the last episode, and then I watched like a couple other things. So I'm sorry that technically I can't talk about Community because of our arbitrary rules
that we break all the time.
Community's great. I think the finale, while kind of weird, is very well like tied up. I think it really gives you an emotional closure that I super appreciate. You know, like, spoilers for Community, a show that has been off the air for years. I think the way that they ended sort of Annie and Jeff's situation in a really like cool, respectful way that like honors the growth that Jeff Winger made as a character and the growth that Annie made as a character. I just loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I love Community, and I will probably rewatch it as long as it's on a streaming platform, because it's just so good. There are just certain episodes you like pluck them, you love them.
Yeah,
I'll always watch the Penn episode.
Yeah, I never finished. The Penn episode's great. I never finished the series, so the last 2 seasons I think I missed. The one where Dan Harmon was gone, and then the one where he came back.
And then there's the Yahoo one.
Oh, and then the Yahoo one.
Because there's the one where he's gone, and that's the bad season. That's season 4. It's awful. Everything sucks in it. They don't understand the show. Then season 5 is on network TV. Dan Harmon's back. It still gets canceled, and then a little bit after that, Yahoo picks it up. But by that point, like, Chevy's gone, thank goodness. Donald's gone, which is sad, and Yvette Nicole Brown is gone, and instead they pull in Keith David and Paget Brewster to sort of round out the cast.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the final season. I'm gonna go back and watch it at some point. It's on my list. I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
for me, it's one of those shows that I never got around to watching. Like, I didn't have TV when it was airing, and then by the time it was out, like, streaming stuff was still kind of in its infancy and stuff like that. So it's just not anything that I ever really had like a good moment to sit down and watch it. But literally everybody that I know loves it. So at some point, like, depending on how long quarantine goes, I'm going to sit down at some point and watch it for sure.
But Rachel,
it's a fun watch. It's not. Again,
that's not what you brought. You've already spent a solid 5 minutes on it. So
you know me. I always got a preamble. Anyway, so instead of Dollhouse or Community, 2 things that I just talk about now, I guess, I indulged in a new Netflix anime, because of course I did.
Of course.
Called Drifting Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I I'm pretty sure it got sent to me because I've watched a lot of anime on Netflix. Like I watched all of Kill la Kill for the first time, thought it was great, and then I was like, I need more anime. But Drifting Dragons is a newer anime. Has that very like digital quality that's kind of cool, like digital through the lens of like a Ghibli. Like the colors are very vibrant and comforting. You know, the sky is absolutely that like GKids blue.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, like that very like that blue that almost is like a different kind of blue. But it follows an airship called a Draker. And what a Draker does is it catches dragons to be butchered and to be used as like fuel and medicine, and they eat the dragon meat. A lot of the criticism that has come at this is people perceive it to be very close to an amalgam about whaling, which I do see like the parallels, because it is like a lonely ship hunting big game in sort of a dangerous place. It's very unsafe to catch dragons. But my issue is a lot of the criticism about this being a story about whaling, but like magical, is they think it's pro whaling, and I found it to be completely the opposite of that. I think the mistake that has been made is because it is beautiful and you like these slice of life characters so much that they are coming into a positive opinion about the work that they do, and I found it to be completely the opposite of that. It really deals with some like interesting working class struggles. Like there's one character on the ship, and their whole inner monologue as they're about to like stab this dragon in the face to death is like, why do I do this? Because there was no place for me on the ground, so I'm here, and this is what I do, and this is what I have to do. And I'm like, if you think that is pro this job, like you think it's a glorification of this, you were not paying attention. I'm sorry to like give that bit away, but I think that really illustrates like the discussion that is being had. And there's a really deep love and emphasis on food. The way they draw the food that they make with the dragon meat is beautiful. The dragon meat has this like gorgeous marbling on it, so like it makes you excited about the food even though it's dragon meat, and it makes you like love these characters because they're all so quirky and interesting and weird. They're like a ragtag set of misfits.
So is this like
just on this?
I was just gonna ask, is this like a slice of life anime then? So
absolutely, there are
nothing
no
supernatural.
End of the world stakes.
Okay.
I mean, the dragons.
Well,
that's about it. Like, it's a world where dragons exist. They're plentiful. They're apparently delicious. One character on the draking ship loves to eat them so much. He's always like sneaking bites of the dragon, you know, and he's like, this is so good, and here's why it's so good. Like, it's really I think it's a very good commentary on sort of the nature, and again, this is me all on my brand, on the nature of capitalism and like what it is to be a worker under a system where you're sort of coerced into working. You know, like economies need these dragons and they need the drakers. But some societies find the drakers abhorrent and won't put them up for the night because they don't like their whole thing, you know, the idea of like you do a service, but we don't like how the sausage gets made, you know, that kind of thing. And there's a whole like at the end there's an arc where they're in a port town and they go to a brothel. And you sort of meet some of the sex workers in the brothel, and like they have sort of a similar life, you know. One of them's just like, where would we go if this was gone? You know, like what would we do? Like what's even the point? It's great. It's very like if it's coming down hard on anything, it's coming down hard on like the struggles of the working class, I think, you know. And I don't think it paints whaling in a necessarily positive light, just because these creatures are so majestic and beautiful. They're also very dangerous, and some of them are like downright aggressive. But I thought it was great. I watched it all in like a day and a half. It just like just kept going for me.
Is it a series?
It was just really. Yeah, I think there's about 20 episodes, 24. It's a pretty long season. But yeah, so I would highly recommend Drifting Dragons.
And this was
was
a Netflix anime. They produced this.
Yeah, a Netflix anime. Yeah, very much like the Dragon Prince, but like the computer animation is vastly better than what I think the Dragon Prince looks like.
Interesting. Yeah,
it's weird. I feel like I could write a whole like paper on Drifting Dragons and like certain moments of it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I'll admit my anime cred has fallen over the years. I used to watch, like, in the Toonami era, I watched a lot of anime then, especially a lot of the one-season animes, you know, your Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Star, blah, blah, blah. But, like, there's so much newer stuff, and I just look at it and I get intimidated. I tried watching Attack on Titan, and I lost interest after, like, an episode and a half, which I'm told, like, it's...
That one wrecked my shop.
But, yeah, I've wanted to watch... I still haven't even watched the one that Abu talked about when he came on. Like, I'm having trouble re-engaging with it. I think because also I know a lot of anime start light and fluffy, and then the heaviness hits, and, like, I want to jump out a window, and I don't know that I'm quite up for that. But any other? I'm assuming, Nate, you have not seen Drifting Dragons.
No, I've not. I'm not a. I'm not the show I'm going to talk about is an anime. I don't watch a lot, pardon me, of anime in my day to day, or my Netflix watching has actually been on the decline lately too. So I hadn't even heard of it like at all until you mentioned it. But the concept of it is really interesting. And then also that it's a slice of life and not like a serialized story based off the premise is interesting. That it's just like, this is just the world we're in. And I don't have to go save the dragons or kill the dragons or do something with some kind of magical jewels and towers and stuff. It's just, this is the world it is.
My job. Yeah. There's one episode entirely dedicated to figuring out who on the ship drew a really good picture of someone. You know, they're like, who could draw like this on the ship? Here? Who could do that?
That's
Who could it
funny.
be? They just like spend that whole time, and then there's one where they're trying to catch like a symbiotic, parasitic, tiny dragon creature that gets on the ship. That's like kind of a dangerous creature, and like the stakes are really high because this creature has a very dangerous bite. But like that's it. It's just like we gotta find it. I love it. I think the characters are also really charming. You know, like they're very distinct in a way that I appreciate. Also, their uniform is like blue, like that what is it, like that Nausicaa blue, but it's jumpers. So they're wearing like these I love the costumes too, like this blue double-breasted like jacket with like jumpers and these like tall boots. I want this uniform and I want to wear it. I would look terrible in jumpers, but I want it. Like, I loved it.
Well, it sounds like you're one cosplay note away from cosplaying one of the characters from this show.
Yeah. They come with little, like, their belts have fanny packs too, like a little pack on the back. It'd be great.
I know how much you love a fanny pack.
In jumpers? Are you kidding me? Yes, I'm in. Thank you.
All right. Well, Rachel, if you had to summarize Drifting Dragons, it's Drifting Dragons, right? I'm getting that right?
Drifting Dragons,
Drifting Dragons. If you had to describe it in 3 words without using either of the 2 words in the title, how would you describe it?
Ah, boy. This is tough. This is really tough because there's so much that I want to say that it would like reference what I found to be like social commentary, but also like I found it really comforting. Okay, cool. I think I can do this. Comfort as commentary.
Okay. Perfect.
That's very good. That's very good and succinct. That sells the what you like about it perfectly.
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
it's both. Like I found it really like joyous to watch, but also really affecting in some of the discussion of its politic. You know,
Yeah.
like some of those more subtle things of this idea that some folks just are misfits and they end up on these airships because that's how they survive. Like my partner, and I don't really want to speak too much out of turn about him, but like he and I had a discussion about kind of how it relates in a weird way to like the discussion that's had about something like Tiger King, even, you know, like I think it's just a lot of the Tiger King's deal was a lot of these misfits kind of ended up working at these zoos because they had nowhere else to go. And I think that echoes a lot in the characters on this Draking ship.
Interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
it's
not
really
watched
fascinating.
that either, so I've not gotten on the Tiger King bandwagon. I probably will not. But this is also.
I mean, if you didn't when it was hot, it's not great. It's not great after you think about it for a while because you do have to sort of live with the biases that the creators bring to it, and the fact that they kind of gloss over that there's a vast difference between characters like Doc Antle and Joe Exotic sort of running like a zoo as a sex cult, and Carol Baskin, who has a team of volunteers who wear different colored t-shirts depending on how long they volunteered for the place. Like, it's very strange. Like that they don't ever really like differentiate like Carol's rescue over Joe or Doc's or whoever's zoo. You know, so take that how you will, Joe Exotic stands.
I'm sure they're out there. All right, well, now it's our guest's turn. Nate, what have you brought us? What is the most recent thing you have watched, sir?
So I've been watching two things while I have been working from home. I just restarted Fargo, so I've been watching season 3 of Fargo.
Nice.
In my opinion, like the best live action show of all time. I think it's so good for a lot of weird reasons. But the main one that I've been watching is I've been making my like second/and third watch through of My Hero Academia.
Yes,
because I came out the other side of season 4 and was like, very like energized by the culmination of it. There's the themes of legacy, the themes of what do you do with what you're given, as well as like I said, the culmination and catharsis, like it kind of A-B slots between both of those things, where there's an arc where they do something really serious and take down a villain, and then then that's like a culmination of a bunch of stuff that came before. But then there is an arc where it's more cathartic, where it's like you have to remember that these are like high school freshmen, and like a like a like a school festival thing is just as important to them for a bunch of reasons. And the show sells it. You don't have to do a lot of like backflips and headcanoning to make the show work, which is I think the flaw of a lot of anime, where the quality of the show is kind of what you bring to it in your headcanoning of these characters a lot of the times. But in My Hero, it's all out there and it's all explicit, like what the characters are like and their relationships and stuff like that. And so it doesn't fall into a lot of the like fandom tropes that a lot of other anime I think get bogged down with. Like, but with all that said, I've been going backwards through it because I've been like just reliving different chunks of the show, going backwards. And I've found by going backwards through the major like plot arcs and stuff, it kind of like symbiotically, almost like they enrich each other. The later stuff enriches the earlier stuff, and like in different little details of like, oh, when they said that, he was really talking about this thing that happens in season 4, and this is something that is going to be important later, or it's something that you can say, wow, like their choice to say this or do this was obviously going to be informed by the other backstory we got later on, right? I think it's just so cool. It's such a contained universe, and for somebody like me that likes a lot of like comic book and superhero stuff, but is like also very, very burnt out on any TV show, movie, or comic that's happening right now. This is like, it's not bogged down in continuity. It's its own like standalone world. And it is like the enemies that they face have like, you know, you're not supposed to like you're not supposed to sympathize with them, but you understand why they are the way they are, which is something that doesn't happen a lot in anime either. Usually it's just they're the bad guy and they're bad because they want to control the world or whatever have you. But in this show, like they're given like ample screen time to sort of make you understand like, okay, so that's why they are the way they are. And if you don't know, the show, everybody has what's called a quirk, which is basically a power.
Mm-hmm. And I've brought my hero on to the show before.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I think a while back I went and saw the movie before the world ended. So yeah, I'm just over here. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I loved that one. It was so good. It's know what you're saying about relating to the villains. Like, if you don't want me to relate to a villain, don't make one like Gentle Criminal. Again, John Pers. I'm so there. I love Gentle. I'm also a few episodes behind. I'm a fake geek girl who likes the dubs.
They've been having trouble with that because of the current unpleasantness on the world, right? So so they just transitioned to recording from home, and they've been putting out new episodes.
Yeah. They're about 2 weeks apart versus the usual release of like every week. So
yeah, they have 2 more behind. They have 2 more episodes to do in the dub, and then they're all caught up with the end of season 4. But I've been watching the dub because I'm working at the same time as I'm watching this, right? So I can't watch the subs, which is like I would prefer to watch something in its, you know, in its native language with subtitles, whether that be an anime or like, you know, I would never want to watch like a dubbed version of like Parasite or something like that. So it's been interesting, and it was really jarring, the dub for me at first, but as you go on, like there's certain characters like you were saying, Gentle Criminal and Mirio and stuff that they're really good. Unfortunately, I don't really like the protagonist voice actor a whole lot, but
no, I love that voice actor.
Yeah, I just think that the we're not going to get into that, I don't think. But
no worries. Yeah, no, we don't have to.
It's just it's a preference thing. I don't fault anybody for liking it because that would be like a big jerk move, right? But it's just a preference, and I'm glad that there's 2 different options that people can go with, you know. But just going back to like the quality of it, it's like nothing is wasted, with the exception of like maybe one character that I hope totally like dies violently because they suck. But every character, every like episode, every instance of anything that they do, it all serves a purpose to either bring characters closer together or explain somebody's backstory. Fights don't happen just to look cool. They look cool, but they also serve a purpose. Whether it's like, well, now I understand where you're coming from, if it's between 2 of our protagonists, or if it's, you know, between a hero and a villain, it's, you know, if I don't beat you, this innocent girl is going to die or something like that. Yeah. So that's really cool. It's none of it is filler. A lot of times with anime, that's a huge problem, right? Is filler episodes. And it's not even just anime. Even, you know, I see these articles or these posts go up of like, here's my Star Wars Clone Wars watch order. It's like, I don't want to watch that show if there's an order where I have to not watch half of the show that's there. Maybe it's not worth watching. That's sort of my take on stuff like that. But if you're watching My Hero Academia and something seems like it's filler, you got to trust that it's going to be extremely important later, in a way that wouldn't be important were it not for the things that happened before. It's like a planting seeds kind of thing. There was in season 4, in between like the big horrible actual bad guy stuff and then the big like, you know, school time activity catharsis stuff, there was two episodes that a lot of people on Twitter like were really like vocally against and seemed like they were treating it as filler, but those two episodes are, I think, like plot-wise the most important and character development-wise the most important in the entire show. And just there's a lot of subtext and stuff that I can't get into because of like spoiler reasons and stuff like that, especially since you're not all the way caught up with it. How it all culminates in the very end is so awesome, and again, in a way that you can't just tell a story right from that part and have it be as effective. It's enriched by everything that came before it, and just the journeys of these characters. And man, it's just so good. I've never been this invested in an anime. I've never been invested in
Cannot wait.
Like characters in this kind of way before. Where like I normally don't vocalize while I'm watching stuff, but at the end of like the Deku versus Overhaul fight, I was like standing on my couch and screaming because it was so awesome.
So good.
And it does that thing where it's animation, so you should be able to do whatever you want, right? Like you're not limited by anything in animation, and so they use a lot of techniques to make things visually interesting in a way that's unique from other anime, I think. But yeah, so that's it. I've just been watching that like pretty much nonstop because I can't really. Podcasts aren't doing it for me anymore for some reason while I've been working. I don't know what that's all about, but having a visual aspect on screen is very good. Been rewatching the movie. I can't wait until the second movie comes out on digital. It's just, I cannot recommend it enough. It's my favorite. It's like my favorite media thing ever, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's utterly brilliant. As someone who watched and enjoyed the dub a lot, I think that they've done just a stellar job at setting things up, and also like I kind of know where the story goes in the future, especially with I haven't read the manga, but like it kind of got spoiled for me, sort of like how Deku's power works and like what is in store, because I went and saw the movie with someone who is fully engrossed in the manga, and they were just like, and then this, and then you learn this, and it's just like, okay, cool, thanks, I didn't know that, and I'm not mad, and I think that's a good testament to like how good this show is. Like I can kind of know where it's going, and it makes me more excited to see how the anime does that bit and that interesting learning journey about what this superhero's power will become, as I just think about it. I think about how good it is, and just this is weird, but like that training montage at the very beginning of the show where Izuku pushes himself too far has consequences for literally the rest of the show, and you're just like, oh, what a weird throwaway bit. He worked too hard. He didn't do it exactly right, and now he like struggles. There are consequences to that in this like beautiful and incredible way, and I'm just I love that show. Because I love all of the characters.
Yes. Sorry, what I was going to say was like one of the themes of the show is like accepting help. And so like Deku, pushing himself too hard and not asking for help, or, there's with Ida in the second season fighting Stain, like, and there's, it really plays with like heroes are saving people, but it's not like they're not rescuing, kittens from trees or saving people from burning buildings. The meaning of like, what does it mean to save someone is pushed like way farther to more of a kind of like I guess like a metaphysical, philosophical kind of sense as the show goes on with a certain character's father. And it's really, really interesting. A lot of the like visual metaphors they use, like there's scars are a big motif. They focus on hands a lot. As I went to film school, and I'm a film school grad, so like I definitely watch it with that kind of lens. And whether those things are intentional or not, even though I believe that they're 100% intentional, all of these themes and visual motifs, it's really awesome that this show lets you read into it in that kind of way. And there's so much depth to be had there in the show. And like you were saying, Matt, before, like anime has like typically it has a slow start where it's like, you know, you have to draw in the like, you know, the quote unquote like hardcore anime fans with the tropey stuff. But one of the things that I've been experiencing as I've been going backwards is like, wow, it really tonally turns into a completely different thing by the end of it. When the show starts, you're like, oh, these are going to be some cheery adventures and you know, superhero stuff, yay, just like Marvel, where everything's going to mostly be okay. It's like as the seasons go by, more and more things become not okay. You know, folks die, like people, you know, get like injured in like irreversible ways a lot in the show. And the stakes are there pretty much from the end of season 1. The stakes and the reasons why everything is so important are there. But yeah, going backwards, I was like, man, they're doing the screaming and the like big sweat drops and the streams of tears coming out of their eyes and stuff so much in the beginning. And I don't fault anybody for bouncing off of it in the beginning because you don't have that.
Zuko does is cry for like the first 3 episodes. He
so
cries.
And that's the dub voice is what bugs me a lot with that particular thing of yelling and screaming and crying.
Yeah.
It does not hit my eardrums very well, but
that's acceptable. It's a lot.
Yeah,
I love my sweet crying Izuku. I love when he cries every time. But Spider-Man's also my favorite character because he suffers.
Right.
Yeah. I find it really interesting what you're saying about the stakes of this show. You've put into words something that like I had yet to sort of realize in a lot of like my thoughts about Marvel and DC and like the history of sort of like comic book culture and that illusion of change that is always inherent in these long running properties, you know, like, yeah, Superman might die, but he'll come back, you know, like he's never really gone. And just seeing that this show, and probably the manga just like live with these consequences. Like, no, like this is grounded in the reality of this. And if we say this thing happens, then it happens. Like, I love so much that like, that the healing character can only do so much, you know, like I can make this this broken part of you function again, but we'll never return to the pristine normalcy that you're used to because you did this. There is again a consequence to your actions. There's, you know, and even in like the emotional journeys of characters like Todoroki, like there are consequences to the actions of blending quirks to try and like do eugenics, you know, like it's such a brilliant piece.
And again, like, you know, a lot of those things are shown in the motif of like scarring on characters, whether it's you know, Shoto's eye, or Deku has like a bunch on his hand and arm, or Kirishima has one on his eye, Aizawa has one like on his face after the Nomu fight. There are just so many cool little, like every character, like I said, with the exception of one, is like totally interesting, and they have their own things going on, and they're a character worthy of learning about who they are more. None of them are like set dressing. They're all they all have their own thing. And what I like about the show as well, or just the property, because there's a manga as well, obviously, is that like everybody's quirk is kind of a manifestation of their personality, or the other way around, right? Like they're either, you know, like the easiest example is Endeavor is a like a fire. He has a fire quirk, and he's like super hot headed, and like same thing with the explosion guy. But there are, and then there are other characters that you know, there's a villain who his power is he can take anything apart and reassemble it like on a molecular level, and his plot line is he wants to get into the Yakuza and take it apart and rebuild it as he wants to. So there's a lot of like cool little through lines that you can draw, and it's all like I said, intentional, and it's all like every character has like a really like pun-filled name in Japanese, like, oh, this person uses metal, and their name, like, there's a character named Tetsu 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 Tetsu, and the word Tetsu means either iron or steel in Japanese, so his name is like literally iron, 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 iron. And I don't know, it's just I've been spending so much time in wikis and stuff because, like, I'm gonna be doing a podcast about this show in some way, shape, or form within the next year. And so I've just been doing a lot of research and a lot of notes and a lot of the kind of like pinky up art stuff that I've been that I have this degree on my wall for, trying to do some, like, analytical viewing of a thing that I think is like wholly deserving of it. And a lot of times, film theory is like, you've probably seen the like video essays on YouTube where it's like, this guy is really, really, really looking into something that's not there or whatever. But I really don't think that's the case with this show.
Film theory.
Yeah, exactly. Death of the author.
Listen,
and all that,
I'll come for Matt Pat. It's fine. I sunk years of my life watching that, and then I realized he's just like presenting arguments and then distracting you, and then like trying to say the arguments again. So
yep, exactly.
Yeah,
so
Matt,
this is
okay.
a different thing because you don't have to bend over backwards to force the show into a lens that force the show into a viewpoint that you end up enjoying it more. It is just there, and the stuff is just kind of ready for you to consume it on whatever level that you want and enjoy it on whatever level you want. So if anybody's considering getting into it, I would say, like, I always hate this, but it's like, just watch the first season, and if you're not into it by the end of the first season, totally cool, bounce out. But like I said, the culmination is so important with this show.
It's been on my periphery for years and years, and Rachel's talked to me about it before, and other friends, and like I've even seen clips, and like one of my favorite English language voice actors plays All Might, he plays also Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z and Vegeta.
Yeah. He does a really good job too.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so, like, it's always been on my periphery, and Nate, you might be the nail in the coffin to get me to finally start watching it. It's always looked exactly like the kind of anime I would watch, because I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop, and I even watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And Sailor Moon, and like all of these shows that had, like, in their art style, some sharp angles and some, really thorough storylines. And it seems like this show is that as well. Also, who doesn't love a good superhero story? So
exactly.
Yeah.
This is as good as you remember a lot of those old shows being. I think a lot of older stuff, in general, for me at least, a lot of stuff doesn't hold up, but this warrants the kind of emotional involvement that I put into Dragon Ball Z back in the day, and that I put into other, like, shonen anime. But this is, like, even though it has a lot of trappings of the shonen, like, genre, it flips a lot of that on its head, and, like, it's the main character doesn't have a flat character arc, which is really refreshing in a shonen anime for sure. It's not Goku, where they're just Goku the whole time and nothing changes. It's this person actually learns things and changes and is challenged and fails and has consequences from that, like you were saying before.
Yeah, and what I truly appreciate is when I first got into it, I was kind of overwhelmed with the sheer number of characters you were meeting, with so many different kinds of quirks. But, like, as you go through the show, you're sort of given a spotlight on all of them, whether it's oh god, what's this? What you get, like, its skin gets hard. Red
Kirishima.
Rocket. Kirishima, thank you. Yeah,
Red Riot,
just,
not Red Rocket.
Red Rocket. Red Riot. Jesus Christ, what am I doing? I know what I'm talking about.
That's fine.
Got so excited. But yeah, just like even that character who, for me, for a lot of the seasons was kind of just like, oh, he wants to be buddies with Bakugo, I guess, but it's not working. And then he gets an entire, like, 2-episode arc where you really get to know, like, why he is here, like, why he wants to attend this hero school, and, like, what he is going to bring. And they're all just so multifaceted. You know, I've been so excited watching the second half of this fourth season and getting to know Headphone Jack a little bit better, because she'd always been one who was like on my radar. I was like, I really like her design and I like her power set just so much, but there's just not enough time to hang out with her. And now that the school festival is happening and they're like gonna do a band thing, like I'm so excited.
Sorry, go ahead, keep going.
It's just that they want to be a team together, and that yes, they all live in a dorm, but that doesn't mean they have to be shitty to each other. You know, like that entire sequence where they're trying to figure out what their activity is, and they're like, let's start a band. She's really good at music. She could teach us. And just like that entire thing, like I just adore every second that I get to be in this world, especially with the students of UA. Like I just love them.
It's so great that you're like, I love Jiro, I love Headphone Jack, and you haven't watched all the way through the like performance yet, because you're gonna love it so much.
My mind. I already know, like, because I've seen like where it's
GIFs
going.
Online
I'm just at that point. And which brings me to another really great part about this anime that I do not think should be dismissed. The intros and the outros, they slap. Like they have some of the best music. Like I wouldn't have known about Kenshi Yonezu without My Hero, and I'm so glad that I know them. You know, all the songs, like they come on and I'm just like alive. Like I have a playlist.
Yeah, they get you way pumped.
Oh, so pumped. Like The Day, are you kidding? Peace Sign. Ugh, I just love. Ugh, they're so good. They get you so pumped. If you ever need like a good workout playlist, just all the songs from like My Hero, just put them on a playlist and just go nuts. You will feel like you have a superpower.
That's sort of it. There's just like a bunch of like things that I really like about it, and in a lot of different ways that I could talk about for forever, but that's where I'm going to end it now.
While we are not doing a My Hero Academia podcast, I'm sure Rachel would love to guest on your future podcast, Nate. Also, Rachel makes a good guest for NES Pod, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
But before we get to any of that, Nate, you've brought us My Hero Academia. It is a returning show to our shores of Screen Snark. I don't know where that analogy came from.
You could say that this podcast is a My Hero stan, even though half of the hosts have seen it.
Yeah. But several guests have brought it up, and since you are bringing it up, and it is your primary rewatch and watch for this week, how would you wrap up My Hero Academia in 3 words without using the words My Hero or Academia?
I would say, I don't know. I think that I could do it in 2, which is just powerful catharsis. Just because like there's such a buildup and release of emotions in all, like especially later on as after the first season, that is so it's so effective emotionally. And so I would just say powerful catharsis, and then just an exclamation point afterwards.
There you go. He's so talented. He doesn't even need 3 words.
Exclamations. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that, Nate. Thank you for being on the show. I'm really excited to have you as a guest. So for those who don't know, obviously I met you through the incredible SDGC community, and one Rebecca Valentine, who is a previous guest on this show. And I know you, of course, for the New Entertainment System podcast, which I was a recent guest on, though it hasn't aired yet, even I think by the time this airs. So what I would love for you to do...
We're so far ahead.
What I would love to do, while folks look forward to my inevitable show up on that show, is tell our audience a little bit about the NES Pod, what it is... what you guys do.
Yeah, so the elevator pitch is every week, every Monday for a half hour. Myself, my co-host Cam Konek, and one guest from the games industry, games podcast scene, or games journalism industry, or streamers even too. We designed 2 video games from scratch. Design is with huge air quotes. with the help of a bot to give us the prompt. And so they have subject, styles, and twists in there, and it'll jumble up a bunch of words. We have over 42 million combinations that are possible now. And so what it'll spit out is like an open world Marvel dating sim, or a Cooking Mama gritty reboot, or like a Master Chief like 2D fighter or something like that. And so, it's pretty much 50-50 of whether we make a game that is like we're goofing on it and it's we end up making like a funny joke game. But then sometimes it's like, well, what would an open world Guitar Hero game really be? What would it be like to kind of have to manage a band in any kind of real way and have that feed into the gameplay loop of you performing songs every night? So yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. That's pretty much it. We try to keep it breezy. It's a half-hour show. I edit it down pretty heavily, and we try to make it sound as good as possible as well. And yeah.
Yeah, I loved the pitch. I remember it was one of those shows that I heard it and got mad that I didn't think of it, and then immediately wanted to be on it. I was like, this is brilliant. How dare they? Now can I be a guest? And then even though I pummeled you and Cam both with requests, you guys finally had me on. I'm looking forward to when that eventually airs. I think my favorite game that you made, I can't remember what the twist was, but it was a Kirby first-person shooter.
With the portal gun.
With the portal gun, yes, that's what it was. And like as you guys described it, I would play the crap out of this game. Why isn't this game real? How did NES Pod come to be? How did you and Cam meet? Have you guys been friends for a while? That kind of thing.
We probably at this point have known each other in a real capacity for about 1 year. We met and I say that again with huge air quotes, we met at a Kind of Funny meetup in Kansas City, where we I said hey to him as we were both ordering drinks at the bar because I recognized his profile picture from Twitter, basically.
Amazing.
So after that I was lucky enough to go to San Francisco and co-host Kind of Funny Games Daily a couple days, and afterwards, a bunch of people from that community, followed me on Twitter and Twitch and stuff like that. And Cam was one of those folks. And as I was, at the time I was streaming, and Cam just became like a member of like my, quote unquote community. Much in the same way as somebody that plays music would tell another person that plays music, like, dude, we have to start a band. Like we have to like make music or whatever. If you're a white guy with a Yeti microphone, the same, that is, dude, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
So, video games are kind of our main thing, our favorite thing, but a lot of, and I'm not throwing shade at all, a lot of people tend to do like the weekly video game news roundup kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
And, like I said, it's no disrespect to anybody that's doing it, but there's a lot of it out there. And I think a lot of the people that are already doing it are doing it well enough to the point where it's like, well, what am I going to do to talk about video game news that's happening? And, pretend to care about it, like, oh, did you see the new PlayStation Studios logo? It's like, yeah, great. Like super cool. I can extrapolate what I think that might mean, but if you go and watch this episode we're making right now in a year, whatever I said is going to be like complete, like nothing. And so that's one of the big drawbacks of doing a video game news show is, maybe even 2/3 of the time you're going to be talking about something that you truly don't care about. Right. You're just reporting the news. And I didn't want to do anything that I didn't find interesting, on its premise, right? And Cam was just finishing up his stint doing literally that podcast that I was just hypothetically talking about, where it's just talking about video game news that you rarely care about, and it was just kind of soul sucking for him, and so he quit that, so I was like, I want to talk about video games because that's, that plus like movies and music are the thing that I can kind of talk about for a long, long time. And, but I also don't want to do something where it's like, here, we're going to do a video game book club or something like that. Where it's like, if the listener doesn't have time to play this game, they're probably not going to listen to this episode. Right. So you don't have like a consistent listener base, and I didn't want to do anything timely because I wanted the stuff to be evergreen. I wanted it to be able to, you could go back and listen to, any kind of episode, just sort of like, with an interview show, like you do, Matt, like I can go back and be like, oh, like I'm going to listen to this Mike Rignetta like episode, or I know this person or this person. I'm going to go cherry pick episodes. And it's not like, I'm not going to go back and have it be like, how big is the PlayStation 4 going to be or whatever, it's not like something where it's like, this is totally not anything at this point. It's not timely. And so I was like, what if we hypothetically designed games? And then I was like, thinking about how that could burn me out, kind of trying to, from whole cloth, come up with the premise of a game and talk about it with Cam. And same for him. He would get burnt out being, trying to come up with a concept from nothing every time. And I was like, I wonder if I could like randomize a bunch of words to give me a prompt. And I had like a night of being like a mad scientist in Google Sheets, and I made a bot work with a button that randomizes the stuff for me. And that was sort of it. We recorded a test episode, which ended up being our first episode. We didn't really have any sort of major tweaks that we wanted to do for that. And around about episode 5, we started asking guests to be on the show. And that has been the only real change since we've started was we have a guest every episode now. And that's been really cool. Been awesome to meet people kind of in the, the sort of podcast scene, the game scene, games journalism. Like you said, Reb Valentine, like we're buds and we play Fortnite now, like weird, as somebody who like a year and a half ago, I was just like reading her articles on gamesindustry.biz, it's like
same
now, like we were going to do a live panel at Planet Comic-Con this year, but then, the big, bad, horrible thing happened to the world. And now we're not doing that, obviously. And I was going to cat sit for Reb during that time. And that's so weird and cool that connection was made. And even, Cam in general, like I said, like we've barely known each other for a year, but we have a very like healthy creative partnership where we're honest about what we want to do with the show. Like we're also working on like 3 more shows together that we're going to eventually come out with that are all different kinds of things. But it's been a cool, healthy creative partnership, which is very refreshing for somebody like me that was in bands that didn't like, people didn't want to communicate or whatever it might be. And it's not just me also. If it was just me, I feel like I could get bored with something and just kind of let it die out really quickly. But it's really awesome to have 2 people's energies bounce off of each other in the creative sense. But then when it comes time to actually record the show, there's a guest there as well, and that has an awesome influx of new energy with every show. And no 2 episodes are alike energy wise because of that. I guess that's like everything. I don't know.
Well, what I love about the show, having now been on it, is like, so I was, of course, nervous. A guy who's podcasted for literally thousands of hours was nervous about coming on your show. And the reason is because your show is always funny. I never don't laugh listening to your show, at least at some point.
You.
And so, like, getting on, I was like, oh, God, what if I'm not funny? What if I don't know what to say? But what's really great about you and Cam, and why I thought you guys knew each other longer because your interplay is so smooth, is that you'll take a point as far as you can, but if you notice that you or Cam, if either of you notice that you're spinning too far from the guest, you'll then ask about a feature and ask the guest, well, what do you think the cover art should look like? Or what do you think the main mechanic should be? And you bring the guest back in. So even if they're not able to keep up with the improvisation of it all, you rope them back in and you ask them questions and you communicate with them. And I think it's just a really smart way of having a dynamic discussion. You know, I as someone who's has as many shows as I do, I also relate to the whole, if it was just me, it would sink. The only reason Autographs exists still, which is the one you referenced before, is under sheer determination and spite at this point. Like, I love the show a lot, but it's all me. This show would not exist without Rachel. If I didn't have Rachel having my back and us alternating finding guests, like, I would have burned out ages ago. I think it's really important to have someone you can lean on.
Yeah, this project wouldn't have survived if it was just me, because I would just watch anime all the time. Like, I don't have gumption a lot, you know. Like, how many projects do I have that are just me that I'm just like, I'm beholden to no one, you know, on that thing. That's just, I'll get to it when I get to it. So yeah, this podcast wouldn't be without Matt, you know, like, even just in moments of like, hey, don't forget to get me the edit. And I'm like, right, I got to do that. Turn off my hero, edit a podcast, you know? So like, I think that there's a lot to be said about the importance of like 2 hands or 3 hands on a show, like on a podcast, or on a stream, or in the wild, because like I can only go so far. Like, your energy's going to die out, and this is a lesson that I learned when I was an actor in theater school, like how energies shift when different entities come into the space, you know, like you can watch how someone lights up when a new energy is brought in, or you can feel how they like sort of shy away, or the dynamic shift, you know. Like, I think that's why I am drawn to podcasts and streams and like actual play features, because like I love the human element so much, and I think there's so much artificiality that is removed when you're off the cuff, or when you're just kind of forced to like be this authentic person, you know. Like, just like 10 minutes ago you were talking about my hero, and I'm literally like grabbing my face, and I'm just so excited because I love this show, you know. Like, it's a whole different animal.
And again, I went to art school, so this is, you know, I'm a heady person in general, but removing the sort of I guess the like artifice of professionalism in our show is really important to me, where it's very like set it and forget it. Like, everything is set up and we get at people and book them. But like I said before we recorded, I have a first class ticket and flying by the seat of my pants, because I don't know what the show's going to be. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. I don't want to seem like I have, like, you know, you can tell when you listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of people might have like a weird like persona on the mic or something like that. And you can tell it's fake. You can tell that it's put on for like broadcast prowess, but it's also at the same time something that a million other people are doing at the same time. And so just cutting out all the fat of that, and just being, you know, saying the show is the concept, and we're here. I'm going to introduce the guests so that the listener knows who they are and what they do. But then we're just going to go. We'll plug at the end, but we're just going to go. And the show is about the energy that plays off of everybody, and it's just the kind of vibe of just like hanging around and talking about like a hypothetical game in a funny way. But it's been really refreshing to do.
Yeah, I mean, say the podcast is the friends you made along the way.
Yes,
that's true.
Well, and also going back to another thing you said, Nate, like the whole not to diss those who do the latest and greatest in gaming, or even do gaming reviews. Like, there's a place for that. And there's a ton of folks who do it way better than I'll ever do. Like, I see no reason to do a what's new in games or what am I playing this week when both SDGC and Waypoint exist. Like, those are the two sources I go for that. Why would I make that? And like, so when I was creating Fun and Games, the original show, it was like, we're going to do a topic every time. And then more recently, we started interviewing folks, because I met a bunch of folks at PAX East. But even the interviews are like, we'll talk about you and what you did, but then let's talk about the first game you ever played. Like, let's go way out of the way. Like, let's not keep it standardized. And then even the thing that by now will have aired that you agreed to be a part of, though your episode will air later. Side quests. Like I got in my head about the NPR side of stuff. Like you do indie podcasting so long, you're like, well, okay, we have good audiences and I love my audiences, but what's the next step, right? How do I get more people involved? And like the idea of just letting people go nuts on talking about why they love a game is so freeing. And like listening to what I've gotten and listening to the response and seeing the response on Twitter alone, it's like, oh, I might have found something here, because a lot of shows don't do that. A lot of shows, if they're talking about a game they love, it's in the moment to review the new game that's out, but it's very rarely a game from 30 years ago, unless it's a specific episode focused on that. And I think that the same way with the NES pod, you guys are creating games in the moment based on tropes and other things that your audience suggests, but you're also not doing sequels and returning to those things and let's do an episode about this specific game. You're letting it exist in the moment and then moving on to the next thing, because that's what makes it fresh and funny.
That's what improv is,
Yeah, it's podcast as theater. Like it lives on past the moment, but it is alive in that moment.
Yeah.
Never to be repeated in the same way by the same people. Like it can be played and replayed for an audience, but it will never be crafted again by the creators.
Sure. Yeah, and like that was the thing that was super important about side quests is like originally the idea was I want to talk about more individual games. Me and Jeff will just alternate every week doing it. And then I thought about that and I was like, God, that'll suck for our audience, because we're already in the feed so much, right? And we already started having guests, but like, I assume people listening to my podcast like listening to me, but I wanted to give them something different. And when one of my co-hosts on our network suggested them doing it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if anyone on Twitter will give a shit. Next thing I know, like a ton of folks in the games industry and even the streaming and podcasting space are like, oh, I'd love to talk about that. Like a friend of mine reached out. He's like, can I talk about Donkey Kong Country for 10 minutes? I was like, yes, you can.
Yeah, I talked about Fortnite for like 12 or 13 minutes straight.
That's amazing.
And it's great.
And loved it.
Well, and because also the importance is like you talked about Fortnite. Fortnite is a divisive game among some folks in the game scene, especially in negative spaces. And what was really important to me about when you decided on doing Fortnite, which will air somewhere down the line, is that you genuinely love it. And it's a game I don't understand and I don't particularly like, but your enthusiasm was absolutely contagious. And that's what I wanted the show to be about. There's so much goddamn negativity around games and even media and TV. And like, we're criticizing and tearing down everything. And like, I'm in favor of a joke. You know, you want to make fun of Venom 2, fine. Like there's a space for that. But like, if you're like today, as of when we're recording, they announced a new Paper Mario, and immediately people were like, it's going to suck. The last two sucked. This one's going to suck. And I'm like, it's that kind of...
Don't buy it and shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, first of all, who is making fun of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage? I'm so excited because Venom 1 was so weird, and I love weird shit. Like, I can't believe that in a movie... that is a Marvel property, sort of, enough. I mean, it's part of the spunk, but who cares? That a lady Venom makes out with Tom Hardy and then becomes Tom Hardy. Are you kidding me? That is utter insanity and brilliance. And I will fight anyone who is not fucking amped for the madness that will be Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. Also, I just watched the trailer for Paper Mario Origami King, and it looks adorable, and I bet it's just going to be a beat-for-beat remake of Avengers Infinity War. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong podcast. Excuse me. Hello, people of the multiverse, and welcome to the Infinity Podcast.
But like,
if people are excited, let them be excited. Don't rain on their shit.
Well, that's the importance of a lot of the shows I do, and what I think NES Pod is a kindred spirit in. It's a celebration of gaming. Even if we're cracking jokes and making fun of it, at the end of the day, let's celebrate what we love. I'll call out the bullshit work practices as I see them. Like, I'm not going to ignore that stuff, but like, if you love a game, talk about why you love it. Who gives a shit if it's the most streamed game in the world and Ninja plays it all the time? Like, you genuinely love it. And I'm so glad that you submitted something to talk about it. And I think that's really important in the podcasting space too, is there are a lot of shows that exist to tear shit down. Now, that said, if you're watching purposely bad stuff and you're making fun of it and you're using it as a force for comedy, fine. That's fine too. I think it's
or
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, or like you were saying, if a company or individual deserves ribbing, like I will talk about Quantic Dream and how much I hate them so much on the podcast because I think David Cage is a big old piece of dookie. But you know, it's not because I don't like the stuff; it's because he sucks. And I will mention if I don't like something or whatever, but I'll only bring that up in sort of like a way that I think is valid. But yeah, no, it's always from like a point of appreciation and stuff. And it's always, we try to keep it light. Like we have no intentions of ever, no matter how big the show gets, we're never going to run ads on it. None of the shows we ever do are going to have ads or sponsorships or anything like that. I do not, like, I have a job where I get enough money. I don't want to make money from this show. I don't want to make that an aspect of it. None of the shows that we do, we're not going to ask people for money. We did have a Patreon at some point, but we realized we weren't using the money at all, and so we gave it to we donated it to a cause that we thought was good, and then shut the whole thing down. And I don't say that to get cookies. I just say that we did ask for money at one point if somebody's going to try to come at me about it. But we no longer do. And even then, that was just sort of a thing of like, hey, like, it would be nice to not pay so much money out of pocket to go to PAX West. And then nobody's ever going to see each other with their own real physical eyes ever again. So we don't need that money anymore. So yeah, no, we'd like to keep just like a cool head about stuff and not take it too seriously, but we want it to be good at the same time. It's a hard line to ride, but again, it's been a really cool, creative partnership. We take it seriously, but we don't try to try hard it to use like a played out word, but we don't have like big heads about our show. We just make what we think is a good show, and we hope other people like it, but we would be making this show if nobody listened to it.
Well, and that's like the podcasting, like the core of podcasting, right? Is everyone likes to have listeners, but if you're not enjoying the thing you're making, then why are you making it? And that's for any art, right? That's music, that's making video games, that's making a movie, that's acting, that's anything. If you don't enjoy at least the majority of the process, you're gonna burn out, and you're not gonna keep doing it.
And if I may say, I hold a deep appreciation for your desire not to commodify a thing that could be commodified. You know, like you're just making this piece because you want to, because you like it. You know, like I'm so impressed that your idea is never to be like, this will not be a money making enterprise, because that kind of flies in the face of a lot of the reasons like people get into making things. I know like a part of my heart would love to be independently creative, you know, to have the means to do that. But, you know, I think that's a lot of societal and economic pressure on you creating something. And I've been thinking a lot about like creativity as commodity, you know. And so I would love to sort of like just like get into more of that impetus to like keep this into a thing that you like to create, like, you know, like no longer feeling the need to be on the hustle all of the time. So I
hate that. I hate the hustle. In the way that I know that you mean when you say the hustle. That is something that is, like I said, I went to film school, and the reason I'm not in film is I didn't want to do any of that hustle stuff, and I didn't want to do that very, very specific kind of networking that I know that you know what I mean when I say it.
I went to school to be an actor. So
well, there you go. Yeah. No, it's as for the advertising or sponsorships and stuff, to me, it would have to be double what I make at my job now, for me to even consider something. And even then, I think that and again, no disrespect to anybody that does like any kind of advertising or sponsorships or any kind of brand deals or anything like that. But for me, for what I'm making, I would feel like my stuff personally would be lessened by like a Candy Crush ad at the beginning or something like that. Cause it's sort of at odds with making evergreen content is making an ad that, I don't know, with some promo code that's not going to be good by the time a lot of people listen to it, because like people go back and download our earlier stuff pretty much every day. And so at this point, it's around 8 or 9 months ago that we started the show, and whatever we were advertising wouldn't be relevant anymore. Right. So it's just not worth the fuss. It's not worth like having to pay taxes. It's not worth having to email some fucking guy about the how the ad wasn't good enough and we have to do a make good or whatever. Like none of that is important enough for us personally. Like we both have 9-to-5 jobs that pay us more than enough to live and buy stupid things like all these amiibo that are behind me, right? I don't need to, for like maybe $20 a month, I don't need to run like little pre-recorded micro ads at the beginning, because that's something that would make me cringe if I said like, oh, check out my stuff and smash that subscribe button and like, comment, all that stuff. It's just, for me, it's like, here's this thing that I make. I don't feel, I think everybody's entitled to make whatever they want, but I don't feel that making content entitles me personally to making any kind of revenue to it, because that's sort of, there's like a weird narcissism in that where it's like, I deserve your money, give it to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything that we make going forward, like we're going to do that My Hero show. There's a weird tabletop thing that I'm going to be spearheading. And then there is like one other show that we're doing with a completely weird other different concept. And we want to keep it on, we're going to put it all under like one, like quote unquote brand, like family thing, but that's just so that we can link people to it easily. There's no kind of, and then we're going to start this big empire and it's going to be huge. It's like, I don't care if a ton of people listen to it or not. If we have a few, we have like the golden handful of people that listen and comment and engage and stuff, and that makes it a little bit more worthwhile. But the act of doing it is worth it completely. But yeah.
Excellent. Well,
It's
Nate,
amazing.
thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Nate.
Sure. My
That
pleasure.
That was inspiring.
Yes. By the way, if anyone wants to sell out and give us an ad, we'll take it. Don't listen.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
take ads.
Again,
We'll
We're-
take your stuff.
No
we're
shame,
plotting.
yeah.
We're plotting where to put them in the
Yeah.
structure. So there you go.
But no,
like,
I do get what you're talking about though. Like we're on a network, and the network, like the agreement to being on the network is running ads for other show on the network. But that's it.
yeah,
Like,
but that's more symbiosis and
right.
Yes.
And also
and that's more worker led. Like
Right.
the Certain POV network is a worker owned collective. That is where we
Right.
are. We are all approaching this on the same level, in the same way that all of Nate's projects would be under sort of a banner umbrella. Like we are
Yeah.
a group of comrades. There is no if any of the Certain POV were in any way capitalist or hierarchical, I would be fucking out. I would be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Yes, we're
I
aware.
will not.
We know.
Listen,
Yeah.
if anybody thinks
get
that any of
antsy.
my hatred for capitalism is a put on, it's not. I'm constantly mad at the economic state, and I am made more angry watching
Listen.
states put their workers in danger for money,
Exactly.
for rich people.
I-
I hate it.
I am a student loan accountant, so I understand. So it's I don't know. For me, it's an antsiness to bring in third parties that may not understand the show. Like we've been approached by people to be like, hey, I'm putting together this podcast network and I want you guys to be a part of it. And I've had to just basically say like, no, and as polite a way as possible. And it's that same sort of thing. Like when I was in bands back in the day of like some person comes and says like, oh, hey, I want to put together like a record label or whatever. And it's like, no, I enjoy my freedoms a lot more than I would enjoy, whatever audience I would get from doing that, which isn't to say I don't want to promote the show, but, that's not the aim of me coming on these guest shows that I've been doing. I've been doing like a weird long stint of doing guest shows, but that's just sort of, it's more for me to meet more people that I would want to be friends with and get on my podcast. And not for the promotion aspect, but for just like, well, what would a show with Rachel be like, and do that show and then be like, cool, we did that show.
The answer is Buck Wild.
Buck Wild. Well,
Buck Wild.
And you don't have to worry about promoting your show. We'll do all the promoting for you. We've got that covered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Called
but thank you again.
New entertainment system.
Yes, we should have chosen a different name because that name honestly does not describe what the show is, and it's way too long. But we're stuck with it now.
Yeah, you are. But thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
We have one final question for you. But before we get to that, and before we wrap up the show in its entirety, Rachel, we have some folks to thank, don't we?
We do. We have a fair number of folks to thank. First folk that we should thank is John Presnell. Thank you, John Presnell, for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
I also want to thank Katie Bugg, who designed our incredible logo that we use all over the internet where you can find Screen Snark. Thank you so much for that logo.
Beautiful, beautiful logo. And thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for not firing us and also for not being some weird hierarchical garbage pile where I have to report to a manager because I don't like that. I appreciate my autonomy and I appreciate the community. If you would like to appreciate the community of the Certain Point of View Podcast Network, you can join us on the Discord server. We have one of those. I know I barely remember it, but it's there. It exists. It's fun. It's probably fun there.
It's fun? Question mark. Good.
As the person who is on all the time, yes, it is fun. Nate is actually on the network. I invited him shortly after coming on the NES pod for all of the good synergy. Yes, there's a permanent invite link to our server on certainpov.com along with all of the other podcasts that we do. Before we ask you our final question that we ask every guest, Nate, please, as much as you dread it and hate it, promote your show.
What's up, gamers? It's your boy back at it again with another fuck. No, my name is Nathan, and you can find me on Twitter screaming about things at Two-Headed Giant, TWO, by the way. And my show, the New Entertainment System podcast, a half-hour show every Monday with a guest. We design some chaotic random games. You can find that at the NES Pod on Twitter as well. I think we're on every single podcast thing that you could do except for SoundCloud because there's no way to automate that, and I'm not trying to put that out. Same thing with YouTube. It's like I'm not going to export a video for this. No way. Download an app and listen if you really want to listen, man. But yeah, no. And aside from that, like we do monthly streams on twitch.tv/twoheadedgiant where we have 3 guests on the show. I don't know when this episode is going to be uploaded that we're recording right now, but the Saturday next, not this Saturday, we have Ian Preschel from OK Beast, Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny Games, and Monty from Uppercut. And that show, I'm going to be making some strong stiff drinks for that one because it's going to be way, way, way chaotic. But yeah, no, if that has already happened by the time this episode comes out, just go and give it a follow. We only stream monthly from that thing, so you're not going to get spammed with, "Hey, where are we dropping, boys?" or anything like that. So yeah, that's me.
I love it. Thank you so much. So, Nate,
Sure.
I have one last question for you. The Mac Daddy of all important questions. We ask this of every guest for the most part, with the exception of a Steven Universe particular episode. It's fine. Don't worry about it. That's lore of ours. And Rob will know what I'm talking about. So, if you could magically make true in your life any trope from movies or television, to just instantly be yours, to harness in reality, what trope would you choose?
What are some previous answers so I can get a feel for it more? Are we talking like a TV tropes like article kind of a thing, or
like the idea of getting the team together, where all of a sudden like you're just able to get all your folks, you know, like you call them, or you just like magically like show up their place and they're automatically free to do one last heist, you know, or
Right.
or the trope of the secret world, you know, that lives somewhere else, you know, all of a sudden you have access to this whole other realm, like a Narnia or another type of Narnia. I don't know. I couldn't think of a second one.
Narnia Nights.
Exactly.
Narnia.
Oh, okay.
Where everything is the same except for Mr. Tumnus has a weird vest on.
Yeah, and Mr. Tumnus fucks in that one. In Narnia After Dark, Tumnus fucks.
That says a lot about vanilla Tumnus anyway. But okay, so my trope would probably be, just because I've been watching it so much, it would be the tournament arc. That is in a lot of the anime things, where it's just like
Very
everybody's
good.
in the stands talking about how cool it is that I'm doing whatever I'm doing is so cool and different, and I meet challenges and everybody in the stands is screaming
Yeah.
like go, and then I do the spirit bomb and finish the.
Ooh,
I just want to
yeah,
shoot a Kamehameha, you guys. I just really want to shoot an energy blast from my hands. That's all I'm trying to do.
it. I believe in it. The everybody's into it trope. I love it.
Yes, yes.
Everybody's
Excellent.
like down for it. Ugh, beautiful. Well,
Well
that's
said, Nate.
another one. We did it.
We've
We
done
did,
it.
guys.
We finished the
We
thing.
Crushed it.
thank you again,
we
Nate.
were on our bullshit the whole time.
The
Yes.
whole time. Always
This,
on our
this sure was a
bullshit.
podcast that we did.
Thank you so much again, Nate, for being on the show.
Thank
It's
you,
been a
Nate.
pleasure getting to know you on the internet. I consider you one of my closest internet nerdy friends that I like to follow. So thank you.
Oh,
keep
thank
up the craziness on the webs, and thank you to my incredible co-host Rachel Quirky Shank.
Oh, and thank you to my tenacious and talented co-host Matt, aka Stormageddon.
Yay.
And thank you, loyal listeners. We love having you here. Consider liking and smashing that subscribe button.
God,
God, I
it.
hated myself as it came out.
Well, it
No,
was
but seriously,
so
thank
funny,
you.
but it made me upset.
Yes. But no,
The
seriously,
best
thank you
kind
for
of
listening.
comedy. Thank you.
Right. The I hate myself comedy. Yeah, that's my brand. But thank you in all seriousness for listening, for being a part of this and the network. And as always, we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey Nerferders, my name is Case Aiken, and for over 2 years I've hosted my show, Another Pass, where I sit down with interesting guests to talk about movies that we find fascinating but flawed. Good movies, bad movies, doesn't matter. We find ways that they could have been improved. So if you ever thought that a sequel dropped the ball by forgetting about a plotline, that an epic could have been saved by introducing the director to an editor, or that a comedy didn't work hard enough to have some substance behind the laughs, then check out Another Pass podcast at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
CertainPOV.com.